Hey friends, it's me, a really shocked and happy Ebony Otaku, the well-rounded nerd. I am doing another one of my dual cast videos. I do need to work on the resolution with my inbuilt PC camera, but it looks like my extra camera is picking up really good, which is most of what you want to see anyway. So I'm super happy. I'm continuing talking about Warhammer 101 today while I get some work done. So two birds, one stone. I have a lot of birds. I'm putting on a painting apron because, as you can see, I'm wearing, you know, a decently cute dress is what I wore for work today. And for those of you who follow me, she's been recovering from knee surgery, which has gone well. But I used to actually change clothes for work, gym, and whatever other extracurricular activity I was going to participate in every day. So I change clothes like 3 times a day. Uh, with this knee surgery, she's not doing that. So, apron. And this, I love this apron because it's got like the kitty cat on it and stuff. I've had it for like 3 years now. It's great. Let's talk about my painting table because now y'all have a view of it that you haven't had before. I'm in my husband's office. This is going to be the last room that I get to redo because a lot of what's in here is going to end up going into our game room. And our game room is going to not just be a place where we play, but it's going to be where we store our projects, current and new. So when we come in here to paint, it's a more organized space. But when we got married, we chose his house over my house. And this is a man house. Can you tell? So slowly over time, we are making some edits and changes, and I'm excited about it because I want to do like for his office what I did for my own in my own office. You've seen it's pink. I've got manga on the wall. I'm not painting his office pink and putting manga on the wall. um, but he really loves D&D. He really loves orcs. I want to do like an orky D&D thing for him in here. So yeah, that's going to be the last project I get to. Um, because kitchen and bedroom and our bathroom we're going to have hire out professionally, but the other rooms we're doing ourselves. So I'm excited for when I get to do that for him. But anywho, back to this. So just to tell you about my projects and my painting table before I get into more of the Warhammer 101, specifically 30K, because that's where she thrives, is in 30K. But what you see right here, these, oh, look at how good the camera's picking up. Anywho, I'm marveling at my own stuff. These are actually a novitiate kill team. And I don't really know much about the novitiates, honestly, because she's so 30K obsessed. And the novitiate it's are a 40K force. I'm mostly painting these for one-page rules and for the fun of it. And I've got 2 boxes of them. But when I started painting, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with them. And somehow this Wonder Woman theme crept up. They're almost done. I just need to do their weapons and accessories now. Those things have been base coated. Now I gotta go back and do the dry brushing on them and whatnot. But I don't know how Wonder Woman became the look, but it works. So, whatevs. But I'm gonna set these to the side because I'm gonna do some airbrushing first. And I don't want these to get anything on them. I'm actually going to put them actually no. I'm not gonna put them over there. I'm gonna put them way over here. Way over here. Yay, that's good. I'm gonna do some airbrushing first because she is 3D printing that prize pack she keeps talking about for NashCon. And I hope this time I get to give away the prize that I've designated. I did do a giveaway not too long ago, well, Christmas time, this past Christmas, and somebody won, but they didn't claim the prize. So I still have the prize. So we'll talk about that in the holiday season. But for NashCon, our friends at Lead Pursuit are letting me and my husband help out with the beginner games. So, like the people who haven't done Warhammer Aeronautica Imperialis before. And for my part, I'm printing some scenery and planes because Aeronautica is out of production. If you didn't know, there's a huge community of players, but they don't make Aeronautica anymore. So I thought it'd be fun. We're making scenarios and printing scenery, but the scenery and stuff that I print is going to be given away. So, in a drawing. So I'm going pretty ham on the scenery printing, as you can see, but this all just came off my PLA printer. My PLA printer are both bamboos. There's a little piece in here that I think I'm missing up. There it is. I have a bamboo A1 and a bamboo A1 mini. My husband has a bamboo P2S. And this is a little stand I actually printed with that for like holding things up as I dry them to stay organized, but I don't need that right now. This is my Artist Opus palette that I'm going to flip over because that side is my dry brush side, and this side I don't care what happens to it because I'm airbrushing. So, but yeah, see if I can get more of it together here. It all kind of hooks together, and there's 3 different bits of scenery that I'm printing out. Here we go. So I love the way that the guy who designed this did this. Makes it so easy to assemble. I think I need to print one more of these joiner pieces, but that's no big deal. So see, now on the bottom it's completely joined together. I need one more for this side. But he did such a good job. This is part of the scenery that I'll be using. There's going to be more. I forget where this piece goes. It's, oh, I could cap this off with this one. Oop, this way. I can either do that or I can do that. So it's modular. There's 3 separate sets I'm printing. So if you win that contest, you'll get this. What's the contest? Get me to 7,500 subscribers by the 15th of August, and I'm giving away what I print for Adepticon, and it's going to be fully painted. It'll be an Aeronautica Imperialis set. I even have my guy at Mumford Makings I commissioned him to make another set of dials for me to give away. So come on, make it worth it. I want to give something away. And whoever wins, please claim your prize this time. Don't hurt my feelings. But we need to airbrush this. So I'm going to talk and work. That is just a brush that I'm not going to use. I'm actually, when I'm airbrushing, I try to put away the things that I'm not using so that they don't get affected by all the airbrushing. Because airbrush debris goes everywhere. Everywhere. I have some bottles sticking up here. The camera is sitting on a little pink toolbox from Lowe's because I'm that way. Because pink is the color she can't live without. So these are going to get base coated in brown black all over, but first they have to be primed. And I did not pull out the primer, so I'm going to have to slide over to my husband's half of the table and let y'all see his messy, messy desk to get the primer I want. I do have black. Oh, this is what I want, dark neutral gray. I didn't want black primer this time because the PLA was black. Why'd you use black PLA if you're going to... It's what I had. That's why. That's what happens when you print. Okay? You have what you got. And sometimes when you go to buy we usually print in matte gray, but that's the most popular color because of priming and all that kind of stuff. And it's very easy to see when you're smoothing it out and whatnot. And yeah, just wasn't available. Wasn't there. So, sucks to be us. I'll put this together and I gotta get it apart. Okay. Good to know. I need to print several more of these. I'm gonna set this to the side to remind myself to print more. All right, so while I'm doing this, back to Warhammer 101. So where did we leave off? We had just talked about the Emperor and his sons. And when we say sons, that is such a loose term. So we have our ideas of what parental relationships are. If you're going to airbrush, take your ring off and set it somewhere safe. It will rip the glove unless you have really good gloves. Or if you're not wearing gloves, which you should be wearing gloves, you're going to end up with a ring with paint all over it. And then make sure you're in a well-ventilated area. This is a room that actually is set up for ventilation because there's a printer in here as well, a resin printer. So we have a ventilation system that you can't see. But I think we're going to get one of those. There's I forget who it is. They're coming out with this spray booth that has like a waterfall in the back. We saw it at Adepticon. It was cool. I bought an airbrush from them, actually. Where is it? I bought my... Is this the Evolution? Yeah, I bought my Evolution from them. It's a really nice airbrush, but this is not a workhorse airbrush. I'm about to prime. And you don't use the fancy airbrushes for priming. Those are for detail work. Okay? And this is going to go on the shaker while I talk. So we just talked about, good old Emperor made his sons. What's a son? Did the Emperor go find a female to procreate with? No. The Emperor of mankind couldn't find anyone equal to him. So this is not like, immaculate conception. where the Primarchs came from. The Primarchs are the Emperor's 20 sons. Why are there 20? Because that's what he picked. In terms of the media, his 20 sons do something really cool. The emperor took a piece of himself and created what's called a gene seed. That seed then grows and bloomed in the genetic miasma that he created into a fully grown person thing, because let's be real, the Primarchs and Space Marines are not humans, they're mutants. Because humans aren't 10 feet tall out the box. Like your average Space Marines like 9 feet tall, the Primarchs are like 10 and 12 feet tall, and the Emperor's taller than them. Like these aren't human. They're dragons. I don't know. But you know what? They're out defending the human race, not being human. More power to you. This is too big for the shaker, so I gotta shake it this way. Did my husband take my airbrush that I use for priming? Nope, it's right here. Let me not be mad. This is a Badger airbrush. She has more than one airbrush. Actually, you know what? I think I might actually use this one because it has a bigger needle in it. And I really want to get good coverage. So when the Emperor, when he sets out his grand plan to reclaim all the humans that have dispersed across the known galaxy. When we talk about Warhammer 30,000 and 40,000, that is 30,000 years from now. That is 40,000 years from now. We are ancient forgotten history in terms of the Warhammer universe. Right now, you and me never existed, basically. We're that far in Warhammer's past. And, humanity has gone through several ages. Some of those ages were prosperous. Some of them were full of strife. That's why they're called the ages of prosperity and strife. Funny how that works. Another thing you want to do when you get your airbrush out, you have your cleaners. I have an alcohol-based cleaner here, and I also have water. And then I also have a cleaning solution. I always like to give a good spray before I start to make sure it's flowing properly, to know if I need to get in there. So if it won't spray water, which this one's not. Every time I sit down to airbrush, there's a problem. See, look at that. You should see something right here, and I didn't. So I'm going to dump the water. I have a dumping cup. And I have one of these. It's fine. So this I can do with my eyes closed while talking. So our good friend, the Emperor of mankind, he's realized that humans are no longer a cohesive species. This is a dead needle, by the way, throughout all of the ages that humanity has been through, and as technology has advanced, and as Earth has become less of a planet where humans can thrive and survive, we branched out across the galaxy. It's what you do. We got to manifest that destiny. That's what we're going to do. We manifested our destiny all over the galaxy. We sure did. And we went everywhere. Some humans didn't go that far because some of those humans are on Mars being Mechanicum, and we'll talk about them a whole nother. They deserve their own video. The Mechanicum makes the weapons and bullets. They're allowed to do whatever they want. End of. All right, they make all the toys. They can act however they feel like acting on any given day. That's like the one exception to the no religion rule. Like, oh, Mechanicum wants to believe in the machine god? Toads. Are they still going to make our ships of war? Fine. That's the Mechanicum. I digress. So with that, the Emperor wants to go out and find all of these humans who are, his children, and bring them back to humanity. I'm going to grab my actual airbrush cleaner now. This is made from a concentrate, but we're going to do a scrub-a-dub-dub so I can do some spraying. There we go. Now, I will say, and this is just my personal opinion, I understand the Emperor's desire to bring humanity back together. As someone who believes that all humans are created equal with our inalienable rights, to pursue happiness, health, have a family, all that good stuff. I get it. And the Emperor has also lived through our time. The Emperor's super old. Remember, he's a perpetual. He's been around since God was a boy, literally. And if you haven't guessed yet, in this universe, the Emperor is basically God. He's God, but he's not God. We'll get into that on another video. The Emperor's like, I need to go out and get my humans back. I need all these people who have run off from Terra, which that's what Earth is called now, because, that's a Latin word. We got to be Latin. Or is it Roman? I forget. But that's what we have to be in Warhammer. This needs to soak a bit. I'm going to throw these in here. There's something stuck in there and I don't like it. If I put that in my airbrush, I'm going to be mad. I don't know how it got like that, but I have more than one way to clean an airbrush. There we go. That's what I need. Try to make sure there's no gunk in here. Very easy to gunk up your airbrush. So he's going to go out, get all the humans. Now, you got to remember, let's think about this reasonably with the humans being away from Earth. And I've talked about this randomly in other videos as I've read Warhammer lore, but let's really think about that. We're talking thousands of years where humans have ventured away from their home planet. I'm going to use I as an example because I can only speak from a place of I can't speak to your experience. I don't know what your experiences are. I only know what my experiences are. But I come from a very specific heritage. I don't know if you could tell. Um, you know, my heritage is not recently native to the North Americas. By hook, crook, ship and whip, that's how people who look like me ended up here in many different ways, and how people who look like you ended up here if you happen to be in North America. I'm not here to give you a history lesson, but what I am saying is who I am right now at this moment is not much like where people who look like me came from. I was not raised in any African country. Y'all know Africa is a continent, not a country, right? I wasn't raised in any African country. I don't, even feature wise, even though here in where I live in the States, I am considered African American. If you look at my face and look at somebody who is direct lineage always been in Nigeria, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Kenya, we don't look the same. I'm not even talking like skin color deep, like features, like over time, any biological creature is going to adapt to the environment that they're in. I don't look like them. They don't look like me because we are separated by hundreds of years and distance. And, well, the natural process of procreation. Certain more features got isolated and produced over time. We don't even look the same. We don't have customs that are the same. That doesn't mean that anything they do is wrong or what I do is wrong. It's just different. Different than doesn't mean worse than or better than. It just means different than. And there's nothing wrong with that. The thing would be, though, when people say really stuff, and let me not get political, but when people talk about, going back to your country, this is my country. This is the only life that I know, and I like my country. I like being American. It's fun here. I don't want to learn another way of life. I like the one that I've got. Thank you very much. And there's nothing wrong with that. And same for other people in the places they're from. You know, I know people. I've been blessed to travel extensively, and I know people. A lot of people from Mexico who have family where I live. And I've asked them, like, well, do you want to come to America? And they're like, no, I like my life here. Y'all work too much. I'm like, well, yeah, we are a bit of a workaholic culture. There are other cultures that are more workaholic than we are, though. So I feel like we're not as bad as we could be. There is a level down or up, however you want to look at that. But, people identify with their culture. They identify with, the genetics that go into where they're from. One of the things I do love about being from a country like America, Australia, Canada, we're very unique in that we are combinations of multiple ethnic backgrounds. That's why our food is so good. As everyone during the World Cup is discovering, ranch dressing, y'all. Ranch dressing. That is our little emissary to the rest of the planet. Ranch dressing. But, like, seriously, though, I identify as an American Southerner because I am an American Southerner. I'm not from, the other side of the ocean. And, I don't have to try to make myself be something that I'm not. I can study and learn, which I love learning about other cultures. I think that's one of the things that makes I'm putting the wrong piece on. I think that's one of the things that makes the world so great is that we have so many different cultures. We have so many different ways of looking at the world, so many different ways of showing up. But as time and distance separated different parts of humanity, we all show up in very different ways in the spaces we occupy. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all with that. Different than doesn't mean worse or better, just means different. And that is somewhere where the emperor is rather short sighted. Is that different than doesn't mean worse or better than. Because in his head, well, all these humans who have been gone for 20 and 30,000 years, they're going to be so happy. There we go. That I've come to rescue them. See how that water came out? That's what you want. Fixed it. The more you use your airbrush, the quicker you'll get at doing that. I can do that in my sleep at this point. I have a dead needle specifically for cleaning out the airbrush. That's a badger needle, by the way, and that was my fault that it became a dead needle, but it happens. Now I need a little bit of thinner and flow improver. So the emperor has this grand idea, all these humans that aren't, down here with me anymore. I need to go get them. Because obviously they want to be here with me, don't they? Yes, I'm the emperor of mankind. Of course they want to rejoin humanity. Why wouldn't they? I gotta go get them. I gotta go get my people. So, his initial pass at super soldiers, which I keep forgetting the name of the Astartes before they were the Astartes. They're called Thunder Warriors. Just came to my brain. Someone's typing in the comments right now. The Thunder Warriors. Before there were Space Marines, there were Thunder Warriors, and the Thunder Warriors preceded the Custodes, which are the Emperor's personal guard. They're way too overpowered. I have a box of Custodes in my closet in the other room. What am I gonna do with them? I don't know. Probably use them for OPR. This is definitely going to need some thinner because this gray always loops up on me. Mixy. But the Emperor's like, if I'm going to run off across the galaxy to worlds known and unknown, I am going to need some help. Which initially the Thunder Warriors helped him conquer Terra, Earth, get it back under control because Earth was a whole hot mess. And the Emperor set up his shop in the Himalayan mountains. What does that sound like? Himalayas? You'll notice a lot of words in Warhammer, which honestly appeals to my highfalutin inner snob, which is why I'm wearing a fancy dress while I paint. Tend to be that way, just a fancier version of what we know now. And he sets up his lab and he commits to doing genetic experimentation and a little bit of warp experimentation. We talked about the warp in our last one-on-one session. It's a parallel universe, pretty tricksy and false in there. And he crafts his 20 genetically perfect sons. Now, from what I was saying earlier, they have a purpose in the lore, but they have a purpose in the business of Games Workshop and the Black Library as well. So what those 20 sons do is, yes, they are embedded with the gene seed of the Emperor to grow into his great warriors, but their other purpose is to allow everyone who participates in Warhammer to be able to pick a legion that they identify with. Which there, of course, there's the Xenos races, the aliens. There are the Novitiates I just showed you. There are other things. We're talking 30K right now. 30K is primarily Space Marines. There are a couple of other races that are like Eldar are part of 30K. Orcs are part of 30K, but for the most part, we're talking Space Marine legions, and we're talking Imperial Guard and were there Cadians yet? I don't think we had Cadians yet. So that's what we're talking about here. Ooh, this is the perfect color for that ink to go on. So that's what we're talking about. And what they did, and I think they were so clever for this, is because they gave everyone someone to identify with. Like, let me give you an example. These 20 sons of the Emperor. I can only talk about the ones I know the most about, because there's a couple of them I don't know jack about. Let me just be honest. But Fulgrim, which is the Emperor's Children, that is the legion that I play in 30K. In the tabletop game, we talked about the different media in the last video. The Emperor's Children focus very much on art and preserving the beauty of what humanity has created. One of the reasons that I personally took to the Emperor's Children, which, yes, they did fall to chaos. They are a traitor legion, well aware of that. But one of the reasons that I love them so much is before Fulgrim fell, he was so focused. He is focused on perfection. He's a little bit of a sycophant that way, but he cared about preserving what humans are, our art, our literature, our history, our music. His ships had the most remembrancers on them of any legion. They welcomed them to chronicle, that's my dog, to chronicle what happened during wars. Charles, Charles, Charles Xavier Wu. Come here. Leave Jack alone. Come here, baby. His whole name is Charles Xavier Wu. He's tall enough to get in the camera. Yes, you such a protective boy. Did you protect mommy? Yeah, you did. Yeah, right. That's right. You growl at them thunders. It's thundering outside. And to him, that sounds like an intruder. He's not scared of thunder, which I love, but he does think it's an intruder. Good boy. Um, when I'm home and I'm by myself, I don't mind if he barks. Doesn't bother me a bit. Good job, Charles Xavier Wu. And his Xavier spelled with an A. Xavier, because I'm that way. Anywho, woo woo. Charlie Woo. Charlie. Charlie Woo. Go lay down, baby. Good boy. That's a good Charles. See how he snuggled up against me? Does your dog bite? What were you going to do? Anywho, so I really love that he had such an emphasis on preserving the beauty of humanity, on the beauty of what we create. And with all this debate about AI and all that kind of stuff out there and what is really art, blah, 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 it's kind of nice to know that, okay, I know it's a fantasy, but to kind of think that in the far, far future, there's going to be a demigod fighting for the beauty of what people create in its natural state. It's kind of great, you know. Um, those are my feelings. They may not be your feelings, and that's fine. This is gonna be such a cool set when it's painted. I'm so excited. I'm having way too much fun with this. I don't know if I'm doing this for me or y'all at this point, because I can just print another set for myself. Of course, if y'all get me to 7,500, I get to just keep it. But I would love. I'm gonna paint it as if I was gonna use it. Y'all know I'm a little bit of a ridiculous painter, which Fulgham would approve of everything I'm doing here because this is art that humans are creating. Now, the legion that I like did fall to chaos, but that's another story we'll get to on another day. Another legion that I really love is the Salamanders, led by Vulcan. He is the darkest skinned of the Primarchs. He grew up on a planet where having really dark skin, obsidian they call it in the books, good for you because they're some real bright. But the Salamanders are one of the more resilient. They are the most resilient legion, and their Primarch is a perpetual. And their world is so terrible, like before the Emperor's genetics got involved, that planet had people on it who could walk on suns and drink acid because their planet's rough. It's just that kind of rough. Or you look at someone like Rabute, who was raised to be a statesman, a politician, a great educator, just somebody everyone looks up to, and kind of like that person that like is so great that you wonder if anybody can be that great, but then it turns out, yeah, they are. That's Rabute. He is as great as you think he is. And on down the line, the Khan, Jagatai Khan, he has a more Asian aesthetic to him, but he is a shadow in the Legion. Nobody knows what the Khan's out there doing, but they know he's doing great things half the time. And a lot of times people call him the Khan instead of by his full name, Jagatai Khan. But one thing they're known for is speed bikes, being on speeders when they fight, which is kind of like if you think about the Mongolian riders in the steppe on their horses using the bow and arrow, like they did their homework. They did a really good job of connecting our historical um, traits as humans to these legions. And what that allows is everyone to find themselves in the media so that nobody feels left out. I mean, honestly, you have to give it to Games Workshop and the Black Library. That was clever to do that, to just have diversity built in from the get-go. So that's who the Primarchs are, both to the Emperor and to us as readers and participators in the games. And when the Emperor is creating these Primarchs, he's looking at them as basically, since I'm creating them, they're my sons, they will do my bidding and help me branch out across the galaxy. And for each of my sons, I'm going to create an army. a legion, a legiones astartes, the Space Marines. And those Space Marines will be crafted in the image of their Primarch, which is my son, who is crafted in my image. So the Emperor of mankind is technically the grandfather of every Space Marine. The difference between the Space Marines and the Primarchs is the Primarchs are created directly from the Emperor gene seed. Space Marines are created from the combination of a human body who passes a whole bunch of tests to prove they're worthy of being a Space Marine and going into the training, and having the implantation of their Primarch's gene seed in them, which even if you survive all the other tests, the implantation of the gene seed could take you out. It's a whole thing. But by the time all that's done, they ain't human no more either. But these Primarchs were going to be his most trusted warriors, my sons. If you can't trust your kids and your parents, who can you trust? Which explains a lot of people's trust issues, because they can't trust their parents and their siblings. And when the Primarchs were lost to the galaxy, that really that put a hampering on the Emperor's plans, because he had the gene seeds for all his sons. So he actually got to making those legions with his sons missing. A mini warp storm basically opened up in the Himalayan chambers where his lab was, where he had all the baby Primarchs, and they got scattered across the universe by chaos. Now, there's some schools of thought on how that happened, because remember, the Emperor knows all about chaos. The Emperor is aware of chaos. He knows exactly who chaos is and what they're up to. He knows how powerful they are. There's a reason he put his lab in the Himalayan mountains, you know, and he has all the wards and stuff. Now, he's not talking to the rest of humanity about chaos. The only other person I think who knows about chaos at this point is Malcador the Sigillite, as far as on Terra, and is outwardly has knowledge of it that is permissible. We'll talk about Malcador another day too. He's fun. Isn't airbrushing just so relaxing? It's great. But with that, oh, it's spraying so evenly. I love it when it sprays evenly. Now we're going to start back at the other end and do the other side. I'm doing both sides, even though you won't really look at this side, just, you know, because that's what you do. We want full coverage. But there is debate in the community. I know what the real answer is, but it's still fun to speculate. You speculate. Did the Emperor lose his sons to chaos, or did he send them out? What do you think? I know what the lore says. I know what the real answer is. It came many, many books after the Horus Heresy. But for those of you just getting into it, what do you think? It's a fun little debate to have at your hobby nights. It's always a good time. And I still stand on the grounds. I don't care what the lore says. Well, I'll tell you what I think at another time. But the Primarchs were lost as babies in their gestational tubes. They were scattered across the galaxy to different planets. But what that did for the Primarchs is allow them a Jesus experience. They got to grow up with the humans. Each of them went to a different planet. They adapted to those planets. They became leaders of those planets, conquerors of those worlds. And some of them, Rabute, started their own little kingdoms anyway, with or without the Emperor. The Emperor still has a mission to bring humanity back together, and he's sad he loses his sons, but he gonna get started anyway. And that's where the Space Marines come in. He has the gene seeds for all those Primarchs, so he goes ahead and starts the work of building those legions, 1 through 20. Now, Miss Otaku, there's only 18 legions. Yes, you're correct. There are 2 legions that have been lost. They're being reclaimed in the new lore, 40k lore that's coming out now. But there were 2 legions that were lost, and we do not speak of them and how they were lost. What those legions really do is allow you to create your own, if you want to. Again, 2 clever things. Oh, we had 2 brothers that did something, and they're lost. Their statues are not upon their plinths on Terra in the palace. But it allows you, the player, you, the gamer, to think up a legion of your own to take the place of one of those with no name. I'm just saying, they know what they're doing. I mean, I know everyone has an opinion on the G-dubs, but they didn't slouch. They did not slouch on their fans. They didn't sleep on them. I need just a little more paint. We're going to give this a little bit of thinner. Sometimes you have to remember you're going to waste a little paint. It's okay. My husband taught me that. Because if you're like, I have to save every drop of paint, you can't. That's something the artist Opus taught me as well. was, you know, most of your painting happens on what I'm doing is mixing right here. If you hold the end, don't, if you have a needle sticking out there, don't do this. You have to have the cap on. But I'm backflowing it to mix it. That's a great noise, isn't it? But I needed just a little bit more coverage. There we go. I have one more model. I love this thin, when I thin out the primer like this, it dries so quickly. And I can just get on to the next thing. But the Emperor, he has a mission. He's going to go do what he set out to do, whether he has his Primarchs or not. He don't know where they're at. They're out there somewhere. But he makes the legions, 1 through 20, 18. Makes them all, and he loads up. He names his generals, and it's like, okay, boys, saddle up your horses. We got a trail to blaze. Okay, look. I was a church kid in the 90s. It's a big song. Can't help it. He saddles up the Space Marines, and they're going to go out and start conquering the galaxy. You know, now, he is going to end up finding each of these Primarchs on different worlds. And depending on which Primarch in which world he encounters is going to tell the tale of how that goes. Because some of the Primarchs are like, about time you got here, took you long enough. And some of the Primarchs are like, I've been doing fine without you. So why do I need you? But the whole story of the Primarchs is it's kind of tragic because not all of them have the same situation. So the main Primarch who really kicks off this whole 30K, the 30K namesake is Horus. There's a reason it's called the Horus Heresy. The first Primarch, he's not the first Legion because they're numbered 1 through 20, but they had their numbers before they were scattered, which confuses some people. It confused me, honestly. I was like, well, how can Fulgrim be number 3, but he was like the 14th that was found? What's going on? But he initially finds Horus. And Horus is one of those Primarchs that when he meets his father, remember, this is one-on-one. I'm not going into all the crazy details. But he's one of the Primarchs that actually recognizes his father for who he is. They have a bit of a challenge together when the Emperor comes to his planet, but there is such a bond between Horus and the Emperor that even though all the Primarchs are the Emperor's genetic sons, he says that Horus is like a son to him, which means he's the favorite. That's what that means. He is the favorite. And there is a period of time for about, what is it, 200 years, I think, that the Emperor is just out making war with Horus, what Space Marines they have, and no other Primarchs have been found yet. They do eventually run across the other Primarchs and bring them into the fold. All those Primarchs have been raised differently, but because Horus and the Emperor, the first Primarch he found, and the one who was most like the Emperor, because they found each other first, they have a bond that is unlike anything the other Primarchs can say that they have with the Emperor. They have a bond that no one else can share. Like, have you ever met someone who was the youngest child and their siblings were all 15 and 20 years older? It's a big gap. Think of it like a big age gap. Even though the Primarchs are all basically the same age, that time with the parent is much different. And there is no mistaking that Horus is the favorite. There's no way to mistake that. And everyone knows it. Everyone knows Horus is the favorite. And as time goes by, Horus and the Emperor are able to get to all of these myriad worlds, get the other Primarchs, give them their legions, and keep conquering the galaxy in the name of the Emperor and Terra. That takes us to the year 2999 up to the actual year 30,000 when it starts to hit the fan. In the next video, which I'm going to film right after this one, we're going to talk about what happens next and primarily focus on Horus. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.